It's hard to tell because it's like you always feel like you wake up. Like I woke up and I was like, fuck, I'm not going to be able to do any shows. Then you
The
eat, you drink water, like you feel so much better.
the wake up is the worst part.
I was like, felt like razor blades.
It's the worst. Mine is always waking up and then later at night. Maybe because we talk all day, but like in the afternoon, it usually clears up and I feel a little bit better.
Yeah, that's like right now.
Do you have the sinuses yet?
No,
Just the sore throat.
this is taunt. It's really just like a taunt. I don't know what it is, but
It always starts with that for me and then goes to the
yeah,
sinuses and shit. Chomp some Sudafed once it does.
smart.
Oh, I'm serious. Sudafed is the.
Yeah, that'll get you.
I do the 12 hour though. The 4 hour gets me a little too like. It's I don't like it. Jordan, are we good?
Oh yeah, we've been live. I knew we were live the whole time. I was just telling the people about my ills.
Oh, we've been live.
Oh yeah, I've been watching on YouTube.
All
Oh,
right.
dodged a bullet there. Thank God. I
Well,
thought you.
yeah, I know. I just, I just, um, I just rewound everything in my head and like tried to really fast process whatever was just said. But
No, you're fine.
I guess
I
we're
kept you on
good.
the
Did you
track.
count me down?
It's true.
We got to fix this. I don't know we got to fix the process. I know it's not Jordan's fault because we're getting rid of the intro. The intro. We got to do something because one day I'm going to get in trouble. Ah, I'm gonna wonder why you're not responding to me. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Stochastic.com NFL First Look Strategy Show, Week 11. 1 week before the Thanksgiving slate. That's when we all get to lose our money by 12:30 Eastern time. It's fun though, particularly the lead up. I mentioned it the other day, man. It's like there's no better experience than the process leading up to every week, and then 1 o'clock hits, and I just get a pit in my stomach.
Yeah, no, it's not good. I had the rare, I think I lost lineups at like 12:59, which is a rarity for me when they were like, yeah, George Pickens isn't even in the starting lineup. So I had a couple dead ones and then the Ravens scored, but oh, we're gonna get into it. I actually like the slate. I think it's different, which these blend together. I like when there's a unique feel to a slate, and I think this week we have some things that we didn't have in weeks past.
We certainly do. Well, I'm glad you're here. Toughing it out. Toughing it out. It's good to see you. Good to have you guys with us. Hit that thumbs up if you haven't done so yet. Take a single second. Take 1 single second to subscribe to the channel. Atone for your sins this morning with that thumbs up button. And never forget all of our content. I'm thrown off by being live. I'm not going to lie. I usually try and prepare myself for this. All of our content, podcast form, especially podcast exclusive that Ben and I will be doing right after this. We keep it to 30 minutes. We break down everything from the previous week. I promise you, if nothing else, you'll find some very valuable tidbits in there, if not the entirety of the show. And then we'll take a look, single entry, 3 max breakdown strategy, all of that going into week 11. Man, I've been going hard. You know how I go down like the YouTube. Your face, they couldn't even let me finish the sentence. Now I get, you know, I've been
You're on the
going
YouTube
hard
rabbit
into
hole?
been going hard into the US presidential history rabbit hole, man.
Okay.
It's
I
so good. It's so,
first
dude, it's so good.
first tweet that I saw this morning was you talking about presidents. I was honestly a little confused about that.
I've been
Yeah,
doing
that
this for weeks now, but just getting ready this morning, threw on another podcast and I was listening and I was like, this is good
good
stuff.
stuff.
The fact that 6 of the 45 presidents have been shot,
Yeah, it's a dangerous job.
it is much more dangerous back then, I would think.
Well, things are changed,
Well,
you
I'm
know.
saying like the Secret Service, and now they got snipers everywhere. You used to be able to just walk up to the White House.
Yeah,
Like
different than the 1800s.
Andrew Jackson threw a party at the White House, and you're not allowed to ask people to leave. Shane Gillis taught me this one. So everyone just was there for days until they put some kegs out front and got him out and locked the doors after.
Then you're just soaking up knowledge.
Yeah, but the Teddy Roosevelt assassination attempt is probably the most badass thing in the
Yeah, he's a
history of
baller.
president, right? I'm
Cool
assuming you
dude.
knew about that. You're
I
you're a
I
history buff.
I do know about that. Know about the presidents who got shot.
All of them.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. How many presidents were there, or have there been?
I have 45, 44.
Well, they called Trump 45, right?
Okay, well there you go, 46.
45, because Grover Cleveland was the
Yeah,
22nd
he
and
made his
24th.
comeback.
It's a wild one, huh? A little
I don't
trivia.
know anything about him
No,
besides that, but yeah.
that's all I know about him too. But hey, man, that's I'm telling you right now. Presidents are like the most. Forget about policies. They're like the most interesting people. Some of the it's good stuff. Now, you had to have gone down those rabbit holes before.
Yeah,
There's no
yeah.
way.
No, I know not a ton about US history, but enough.
You're more of a World War II guy. I know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
You're like deep dive into World War II.
Yeah, I'd rather read about that. But no, that stuff is very good. Besides this type of knowledge that you're about to receive today on this show, other knowledge, we should do a US. Maybe we'll have stochastic history and you and me can start just soaking up that. Honestly, that's not the craziest thing I've ever said.
Not gonna lie, we'd probably have a lot of fun doing that.
I'd do it.
I'd probably do it even if nobody listened.
Yeah, no, that would be fun. I'd love to talk about that.
It'd be awesome, man. Yeah. Let's get into it. We got some football to talk about. Glad you guys are here. Yes, Clayton. Agreed. Also, FDR, longest serving president.
True.
Who was the shortest serving president?
Garfield? Harrison? One of those. One of them got shot immediately and then just like died.
I think it was Harrison because he went
Yeah.
out and gave a long speech in the
He
freezing
got
cold
like pneumonia.
and died 3 weeks later.
Yeah, yeah. It's one of those.
I think he was president for a month. I think it was Harrison.
Yeah, I think there's yeah. William Henry, maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
Me neither. Thought it was Harrison. Maybe. Yeah, it was Harrison.
Yeah.
Because then John Tyler took over and they all hated him.
Yeah, that's a weird
Because
that
he's like, I'm president now. This is how it works.
that string is a void. Before Lincoln, starting with like Van Buren, there's really nothing.
No. Anyway.
Anyway.
And then well, okay. I could go on forever.
Start the show.
No, you know when I get into these rabbit holes, it's all I want to talk about.
Me too, but you know what? I gotta talk about the goblins.
Like one day we got to talk Genghis Khan again and all that stuff.
Big fan of Genghis Khan, yeah.
Well, you started looking into it a little bit more, right? You started looking into the Mongol
Mongols?
history. Good stuff. Yeah. All right. Nobody wants to hear about this. Let's talk about the NFL Goblin of the Week, as we do every single week. We started this like 5 weeks ago. I think Ben has gone with the Atlanta Falcons almost every week at this stage of the game. Look, I have to go with Brian Dable. And it just goes back to what you said last week. I'll keep this short. I'll keep it simple. The fact that you just trot DeVito out there and you run a traditional offense despite getting murked for the entirety of that game, that's got to be the Goblin of the Week for me. Like he threw 2 touchdowns, which is hilarious. But all in all things said and done, terrible performance, hands down. They should have gone with the Ben Rasa approach. We got a ton of tweets about that too. We got a ton of tweets like Ben should be running this team on a bunch of teams last week. Brian Dable for me. You got anybody good? You got anyone interesting?
Yeah, I got the Bills coaching staff only really for one specific thing. I mean, say what you want about that game. And I honestly thought that the Broncos, I liked them to cover the game. I did not think they would win. But let me we'll save some time here. Why is it necessary to have your defense on the field when the other team is going to take a knee and then run their field goal team on? Like, couldn't you just leave the personnel on the field? Like, why did you have to run people off as well?
Yeah, you're right.
No one thought of that. Like, okay, well, if they're just going to kneel, we don't need to really do anything.
For sure. All they were trying to do is kneel it so Buffalo had no timeouts left.
Of course.
Which, by the way, no, hold on a second. You say, of course, I had the under in that game. Okay. So I was hoping that they would make that smart decision. There are a lot of coaches out there. I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced that every coach out there would have done that, knowing that they themselves had no timeouts left. I'm not convinced that every coach would have
No.
forced Buffalo to run down all of their timeout. You know what I mean? Like it was to you and me watching the game, obvious decision. Like you have 20 seconds. You'll be able to get the kicking unit on the field. No problem. I'm telling you right now, there's plenty of coaches out there, in my humble opinion, that would not have done that and would have given the Bills like 35 seconds with the ball to come back and kick a field goal.
Yeah. I mean, Ron Rivera probably would have punted. So there's all sorts of different scenarios that coaches would have done, but it was just insane to me that the Bills, I know those things don't seem like they matter, but obviously they don't matter until they matter. Like, what do you do? Why would you ever be concerned about your personnel in that situation?
But also,
Ever.
let's just say you were. They still had plenty of time. They still had plenty of time to get the right unit out there.
I know, but
no, I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying they still messed it up despite having the time to do it.
it's just a reverse free roll. There's only two things that can happen. You either get the right unit out there and nothing happens, or in 1 in a million you have the wrong, you have too many players on the field and then you lose because of it.
You know, it's funny because last year in this same situation, Hackett would have thrown into the end zone there.
He's another one who probably would have punted.
Yeah. I'm serious. He did that against the Colts on Thursday Night Football. They lost in overtime, where it was like 3rd and 7. All they needed to do was kick a field goal, and he threw it into the end zone and got picked off. Well, he had Wilson. Broncos don't look bad. You guys are going to come around soon enough. This team does not look bad right now. That defense, the run defense. Are we
moving them up?
What's that?
Are we moving them up?
I am. I mean, look, it's been a few weeks. Like I was talking about the defensive improvements and this team. What are they, 4-5 now? I think they've won 3 straight games.
Yeah, they're fine. The NFL is outrageous.
I don't think the Denver Broncos, put it this way, I don't think the Broncos are a good team because I don't think the Bills right now are a particularly good team. The Bills just lost at home. That's a bad game to lose.
Where Ken Dorsey got fired, scapegoat.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Wow. I did not see that coming.
That's the new move in football. Like you just fire your OSA. Like every college team does it with these bad head coaches.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't get fired if you don't have a 12th man on the field goal unit. That's what's insane.
I know. Or also, if like, how are you firing an OC when Gabe Davis drops an easy pass that ends up being a touchdown? Or I'm sorry, that ends up being an interception, right? Like that game, I don't see how that was I don't see how that was Dorsey yesterday.
It wasn't.
They had 3 turnovers. No, 4 turnovers. They had 2 lost fumbles and 2 interceptions. How does that throw by Josh Allen late in the 4th quarter was a terrible throw.
Yeah, it was
on the sideline.
Very, very bad. Yeah, it was awful. It was late. I mean, it is what it is. You can prevent some things. The number one thing that you can prevent is stupid shit like that to lose the game. Just dumb.
Yeah, Mark said can't fire the players. Right. No, I guess that's what it comes down to, is that you now are forced to fire Dorsey. I think that's I think put it this way. Guy will probably find the job sooner than later, and he should.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's go to the rankings.
Where do we have the Broncos at?
They're in no bueno. They're definitely gonna have to go up.
The problem with maybe next year for them is they are like, I still don't think they're going to be competitive in the sense of like Super Bowl team.
I don't want to be this guy, but you know where they're kind of teetering.
You think they go into Chikings?
They might just permanently
everyone's going to be in there by the end of the year, and you've already made the rule that the executive decision that nobody can leave.
But where, honestly, in
You're
5,
right. That's where they belong.
Yeah, put them in there because they're not going to do anything.
Just give the audience one more time an explanation of what Chikings means. We get this question all the time.
Yeah, and it means that the outcomes of the week to week games really have no impact. We don't know how they're going to arrive at where they're going to arrive, but we know where they're going to end up. And all five of those teams are the same. They have flashes where you're like, maybe they actually have something. And then they have flashes where you're like, they might be the worst team in the league. And then they end up where they end up. It's just the same story with them right now in that category. The Vikings and the Broncos, you're like, okay, they have something working. And then they won't. And then it'll be the Raiders. The Raiders too. They all look good for periods of time and they end up doing nothing.
All right, fine. So they're in purgatory for the rest of the year.
They're done. That's the fifth team now out of permanent.
Jordan, Broncos have to go to the far right of that. Chargers and Vikings have to be first in that. Yeah, I think you're right. It's funny because in a way it's an honor and it's also an insult.
Yeah, that's fair. Where do the
Bizarro
Texans
freak show,
go?
the Saints cannot leave. They that's their own category. They just lost to Josh Dobbs and the Vikings. Are the Texans a fringe playoff team? They just beat to me.
They have to be.
If there's one game that I've got more wrong than any game this year, I thought that the Bengals at home, healthy Joe Burrow, Texans coming off a big emotional win, historic game from CJ Stroud at home. I thought this would be a relatively smooth win for the Cincinnati Bengals. I've said this. I've tweeted it the other day. I thought it would. Couldn't have been more wrong. The Bengals lost that game and CJ Stroud led another game-winning drive. I think we have to put them as fringe. They just keep moving up.
They are very legitimate. They're awesome. I am not that I'm not a fan of the team. I am. There are only a couple things each week that you feel super confident in. The Bengals coming off a real nice win. They got it together. They're just at home. You're not losing to the Texans like that. That's just not happening.
So you thought the same thing then?
I thought there was no way.
It was one of my favorite bets of the year.
Yeah, it's not because I thought that the Texans are bad. I just didn't see that happening. But they've been fantastic. They deserve to go up. Honestly, it's not a huge deal, but I think that the Jets, who I was also wrong on, might have to be relegated.
Fire them or no bueno?
I think just no bueno.
All right. The only reason we would potentially lobby to fire them into the sun is because Robert Saleh just said that Zach Wilson is playing well and that they're going to stick with him.
All right. He's not playing well, but is he playing that bad?
No. Well, that's the problem, is the context with quarterbacks around the rest of the league. When you're comparing him to Tommy DeVito, right? And Clayton Tune a couple weeks, those type of guys, sure, he's okay. I don't know. No.
It's hard to spin it. He's clearly not good. I don't want to go to. I'm not planting a flag for Zach Wilson. I just don't know if he's limited to turnovers, and I really thought that would be enough, and that's where I've gone wrong. He's not throwing picks. He's just not doing anything.
We can't put him all the way. We can't relegate him to the basement only because the defense is really, really good. That's it. The defense. They're good.
Honestly, I think we're my final thing, and then we can get into the slate. I think we could immediately flip the Bengals and the Niners again. The Niners are no joke once again. They smoked the Jaguars.
Do we move the Jags down, or do we have to keep them as a playoff?
I think
they won 5 straight coming into that game.
There's no shame in losing to San Francisco. It just proves how good the Niners are when they're healthy.
For sure, but they got shit on by the Niners.
Murdered. That's true.
At home.
Yeah.
I have one more thing. Last one. I'm really tempted to move the Browns up one.
Yeah, that's like correct.
That team. They're a good football team right now.
My team.
I know. And that's in spite of Deshaun Watson. Look, Watson clearly was hurt in that game, and he came back and they got the win. They had the pick 6. We got to move them up to playoff team. I think this Browns team defensively is dominant and opportunistic, and they belong up in that. If I'm going to put the Jags up there, I got to, and the Dolphins up there, I got to put the Browns up there.
Yep. But no argument.
All
There
right,
it is.
there it is. I might put the Titans down, to be honest, to no bueno.
They stink. Yeah.
Put them down. Maybe next year is getting real thin, huh?
Because, yeah, you kind of know. I mean, if the screen was bigger, I would honestly suggest that we make a new category and we have a blank category and we just put the Giants even below where they are. Like they're below where they are each week. The Giants should just have another category.
It's like when people do those tweets and they list it, it's like the listicle tweets, and then there's the dot 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 all the way
Yeah.
down, and then there's the last one.
Yeah, that's where the Giants are.
All right, fair enough.
You want to
Dude,
get into it?
all right, that works. We can't move the Bills down. They're still a fringe playoff team.
Oh,
You
no.
can't. Someone mentioned you can't really move. I don't know where you put them.
And I get it. They've been playing like garbage and their season might be done, but I still think they have chances to.
What are they, 5-5?
Yeah.
Like
They are a fringe playoff team. That's what they are.
That's exactly. They could go on a 5-game win streak, something like that. All right, let's get into it. By the way, guys, before we start, ownersbox.com. Do you like overlay? Do you like first match deposit bonuses? If the answer to both of those questions is yes, you should probably sign up. Links in the description and in chat. 2 things you need to know. 1, if you have an ad blocker, shut that off for a second, click it, makes your life easier. It'll take you right there. Then you can throw it right back on. 2, if you are someone that is going to ask about the promo code, don't need it. Just the link. It might ask you for a promo code. You don't need it. But look, Jordan and I recorded the Hall of Fame segment yesterday. Everyone rocking the stochastic avatars. We had 4 or 5 owners box wins in there just from subs, just from people using the Sims tool for owners box, Ben, just from people watching the shows, getting on owners box. Some huge wins. That didn't even include the 20K one in the main slate. It was like showdown wins, other main slate stuff. We've had some real success lately with our guys, particularly those who watch the shows and watch our YouTube channel, going over to Owner's Box, taking advantage of first match deposit bonus, getting in on that big overlay that we've seen, and kind of learning the Superflex format and winning a lot of money. So that is a good sign going forward.
It's a great sign, and it's awesome to see. Obviously, when you have a new opportunity and a new format, I always think that there's not even just a learning curve, but it's unexplored. And I do think our tools and a lot of our subs, you get used to it. You start to see little things. You get better as you go. And I don't think it's a coincidence. Clayton just said it in chat. A lot of stochastic people killing on Owner's Box. It's true. I've seen the whatever you call those things, avatars, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was confusing to get mine's like a warthog. It took me like 3 hours to get it updated. It's very cool to see though.
It is. It's awesome, man. And look, the Superflex format means you don't have to ever get burned by a defense, but it's, you can play 2 quarterbacks. You don't have to, but the Superflex position allows you to do so. You've said it a million times. It's unsolved, but it feels like as the season goes on, we're just seeing more and more wins from our people as a result, because they're doing it each week and they're winning, they're learning. And all of our tools, this contest generator, the Sims tool, ownership, player projections, all of our tools we have for Owner's Box. No, look, you don't stop playing DraftKings and FanDuel to play there. You use it as a complementary piece. You get in on the big overlay. I'm not I forget where it filled at. All I know is it was 34% filled on Sunday when you and I had like an hour and a half until lock. So yeah, check it out. Link in the description and chat. Throw off the ad blocker. You don't need a promo. It'll get you right there. Get that deposit bonus overlay and hopefully win some money, baby. All right, let's talk about the quarterbacks. I actually have 3 at each tier. I have 3 at each tier that I like.
A lot of quarterbacks.
What?
That's a lot of quarterbacks.
It is, but this is one of those weeks, man. There's a lot here. There's an additional game from what we've seen the past couple of weeks. There's no Europe game, so there's 11 games on this slate. Tua at the top to me just makes a lot of sense. And then you have Justin Herbert and Dak Prescott. I feel like of the 3, of the trio in this price range, Tua and Dak are my 2 favorites. They're just abandoning the run in Dallas right now.
I mean, Dak just proved in a, against bad teams, which Carolina is, and the Giants certainly are, he's still very live to hit a ceiling. So I'm all about it. He's the guy up top for me. Of course, can you go wrong with Tua against Vegas? Definitely not. Herbert against the Packers? Definitely not. Stroud deserves to be up there. I never thought I'd say that, but it's true. But Dak, I'll get right to it. My favorite quarterback at the top tier.
Dak, okay. Over Tua.
Yes.
All right. For me, it's this is so tough. What do we have for implied totals? I haven't looked yet. Let's take a look at implied
I have
totals.
not either.
Well, it got to be really high for Dallas and Miami, right? Got to be. Also,
Yeah. I mean,
no
team total
Lamar on
wise.
this slate, no Mahomes on this slate, no Jalen Hurts on this slate. That takes three of the top priced quarterbacks out of the equation. No Josh Allen on this slate.
No, he's on there.
Oh, is Josh Allen? Maybe I missed it.
But he's got the Jets,
That's
which
why that you know what? I'm sorry. That's why, because I'm not playing him against the Jets.
neither am
Just
I.
don't. I don't want to do it. Even at home, I don't even think as a contrarian spot I'm going to get there. Plus, to be fair, why pay an additional 500 for him when you could go to Dak or even Herbert against Green Bay? I'd probably prefer over Josh Allen. Anyway, Miami 29.5 point total, Cowboys 26.5, Lions 29, Houston 27, San Fran 26.5. I'm just giving you the top 5 on the day. That's what we have for the main slate. I'll go Tua here. The only issue I have now is that if Devon Achane returns, you know, do we just have like a lot of opportunities in the run game and then Tua isn't asked to do as much? Maybe Dak is the answer. Maybe you're right. But I'll go Tua just to mix things up as my favorite top tier guy.
Yeah, and again, I'm not gonna if you like Tua's great. And Chad was pointing out Carolina's getting a little healthier. I just think ultimately Dallas will find ways to manufacture plenty of points in this spot. I don't think CJ Stroud will be like crazy chalky. He's certainly going to be popular though. And I have him behind those two guys. Great play in his own right, but Dak would be the guy up top for me.
I'll tell you what, man. I love Jared Goff this week in the mid range.
Yeah.
I do. Chicago's run defense actually hasn't been that bad, and for some odd reason they brought Montez Sweat in, so he helps that line in general. He's definitely bolstered that a bit, but Jared Goff to me looks like he's in a very, very good spot. He's at home in that dome where he's performed so well. We already know he's been excellent at home. Every year it feels like he is. They've got a great matchup against the Chicago Bears. I probably get to a decent amount of Jared Goff. I know it's early in the week, but 29 point implied total, second highest on the slate. He's $6,600. You have the pairing opportunities for Sam Laporta, for Amon-Ra St. Brown. Of course, the question now is how much work did Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery get? That's the tough part here. And it's the same thing for Miami, but and that's why I can see why you'd really love Dak, because hell, it's just everything is through the aerial attack. But Goff at 66 is cheap enough to where, look, you're paying a lot for Amon-Ra St. Brown. Sam Laporta is $5,800, but that's going to be a really intriguing stack this week for me.
Yeah, definitely. Listen, at home, the splits line up. Your biggest concern is what you mentioned. David Montgomery could have 3 touchdowns, and Goff could have a really nice game, but a more of an efficient game. You want it to get a little wild. I'm going to go more tournament centric for you. Trevor Lawrence, he was awful last week. He killed me. I took the plunge, thought that they could move the ball against the Niners. I'm writing that off. Respect to San Francisco. He gets another home game, this time against Tennessee. He will move the ball against Tennessee. He's flat 6. He's got every weapon you could ask for. Trevor Lawrence, good tournament mid-range play.
Absolutely. I put him in low tier just because like the 61, 6K, 5,800 guys. And then I have nothing beneath Brock Purdy, who I don't really want to play anyway. But to me, it actually feels Trevor Lawrence is kind of the lowest I'm looking to go on this slate.
I think that's fine. I'm going to throw out one real, no. Jordan Love at home.
There we go.
5,600. Again, when I see 40 pass attempts, not week in and week out, but in weeks, it's hard to be bad when you're in the mid fives and you throw the ball 40 times. It is hard to be bad. He gives you a little rushing upside too. I think you can construct with him. He's got pay down options. He's not a good quarterback, and I don't really want to do that. But if I'm in a jam, I'd rather play him than basically anyone else below Lawrence.
Okay. I think I stop at Kyler Murray and Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
I don't think Kyler Murray's a terrible play either, because if you guys watched any of that game, I wouldn't blame you if you didn't. He had a couple scrambles where he really took off and looked perfectly fine. Like I said last week, I don't think there's any reason they'd bring him back unless he was at 100% capacity. I feel after watching last game that, all right, sure, you've got a surgically repaired knee and all that stuff. I didn't really, and some early rust. I thought for his first game back, while he didn't throw any touchdowns, he did get picked off. I thought all in all, he was pretty decent.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. He was. It's just, this is where you're gonna have to kind of see what the opportunity cost is. I'm not gonna do that unless there's a reason. But when we get to wide receiver and we see all these guys in like the nines and whatnot, there is a reason potentially. So that's my kind of rankings for quarterbacks.
It's a dirt cheap stack too if you're trying to get there. That's kind of the only thing I'm looking at. If I was going cheap, that would probably be the place I do it. At the same time, though, the Jag stack is pretty cheap now too.
That's what I mean.
Do you go to Ridley though? Do you go? I know Ridley's a guy that's been
tried that last week.
Yeah, well, it didn't matter who you played from Jacksonville. It wasn't working out.
Good point.
But Ridley's 54, Kirk's 6K. Evan Ingram isn't overpriced either. He's what, like 4,100 or something? He's 4,300. I do think there are some cheaper options down there that you can get to. For me, I'll go Tua at the top tier. Mid tier, I'll go Goff.
Mm-hmm.
Although CJ Stroud looks good there, but I'll go Goff. And I'll go Trevor Lawrence as the low tier.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I'm going to go Dak 1. Just because I'm going to throw Jordan Love there. I'm going to go Trevor Lawrence 2. I know that's a little low for the mid tier, but I have no problem with that. Okay. And I'm going Jordan Love as a punt option.
Last one. Any interest in Matt Stafford this week?
No.
No?
No.
Coming back from an injury.
Just worried. He's a statue. It's just a lot of quarterbacks that I'd rather play on both sides.
I agree. Yeah. He doesn't have a single game with more than his fantasy totals this year really
it's not good.
Yeah, that's the funny thing, because you would think when you see some of those Cup and the Kua games, but then you realize that only one guy produced in those games. Anybody else that we haven't hit on? Like I said, those are the three I have at each tier: Tua, Herbert, Prescott, Stroud, Goff. I threw Stafford in there, but I think, you know what? I'm going to eliminate him altogether. And then Murray, Lawrence, and I don't hate Brock Purdy at 5,800. But yeah. I probably don't end up getting any of him.
It's kind of like me with Jordan Love. I hope I don't end up playing him, but there's definitely a chance.
Okay. Let's talk running backs here. The wide receiver position, by the way, is insane. Some of the prices here are crazy high. I didn't even know where to do the tier breaks. Like, I threw Devontae Adams into mid-range at 7,900 because it's like 4 guys above 9K. So we'll get into that, but we'll start with running backs first. McCaffrey's against Tampa, 9,300. Eckler against Green Bay. That's a pretty nice matchup. Not great, not terrible. Travis Etienne at 7,200. It's fair. Definitely a pass funnel spot, though, that concerns me a little bit. Not sure how I feel about that. I'm just going down the list for you for a second here because it is not the top tier that I love. I love a few guys in the mid tier, and we're going to get to them. But let's get your thoughts first on the guys up top.
It's definitely not where I think I want to spend up for money. No doubt about it. We'll see what ownership looks like. I'm going to give Travis Etienne the nod, though. You mentioned it is a pass funnel defense, but that's not the worst thing for Travis Etienne. He can get loose He's going to get, around 5 targets each and every game. If they're winning, he's going to get 20 plus carries in a lot of those circumstances. Last week is a throwaway game. Nothing went right. Everything went wrong. Before that, he had been absolutely cruising. Kind of think they just get back to business. ETN at 72, price is right for me. He's just another way to get exposure to the Jags.
Okay. I don't even want to spend a whole lot of time on this top tier because for me, it's just McCaffrey. If you can get there, I think it's going to be tough. I think it could be kind of tough. I mean, if you're doing that, you're either going with the Kyler Murray type stacks, which I don't think is crazy, or you know what? You could go Sam Howell stacks if you're really feeling up to it and just run him out there with Terry McLaurin and Jahan Dotson or Logan Thomas or something. I don't think anyone's going to blame you for that. Right? I mean, it's not pretty, but
that to me is like in the Jordan Love bucket.
Right. The Giants have given up. So you can do it if you wanted to go McCaffrey and then another high priced receiver. It's doable. Could be tough. I like Eckler though. I'll go. You're going ETN as your favorite up north of 7K, huh?
Yeah.
As your top. All right. I'll go Eckler, but I don't want to live in this range. I'll tell you what, I think there are a few guys down here, and we're going to get to Tony Pollard. Don't you guys worry. That's going to be fun. You know who I really like, though, at his price point? Can you guess? He's in the 6K range. There's a lot of them, but he's in the 6K range.
Aaron Jones.
Nailed it. I think $6,200 on Jones is perfect. And we had to comment on one of our shows the other day where someone was ripping me for saying that the Chargers, when I said the Chargers run defense is average or pedestrian or whatever, they're top this and they're top that in the league. They hadn't really faced much. They just gave up 200 rushing yards to Detroit, gave up 41 points. Now, this Green Bay offense is a far cry from anything Detroit's trotting out there every week, for sure. But I still think Aaron Jones is just good. And I still think that 6,200 is an underprice when you consider the fact that he's finally healthy. I know AJ Dillon was, semi-efficient last game, but that's not something that occurs all that often. I expect Aaron Jones to play around 60%, maybe more of snaps, get a lot of touches. 6,200, you can sign me up for that all day long.
Yeah, I get it. Not going to push back on it. Similar to Jaguars, the Packers are a team I would like some exposure to. I will say he's in the worst matchup maybe you can have, but Rachaad White seemingly is going to get 20 to 25 opportunities in every game script, and his price doesn't really move. I'm not sure how high that ceiling is for tournaments, but if you're telling me you want someone who I don't think will kill you this week, I'm going to go with Rachaad White in the mid-range. I've been playing him every single week, and it's been working out. I know in San Francisco is not what you want to see.
Yeah, you're not.
But I do want to see 20 carries and about 4 or 5 targets every week. And I don't see why that changes even if they get blown out.
The volume's there. No doubt about it. The one reception was the only reason he survived. But I suppose when you're getting 23 opportunities,
you only need one outlier.
You only need one. I still don't love the ceiling on it. Like, I think that game against Houston is for sure a ceiling game for Rachaad White.
Oh, I don't like the ceiling either. I just think this is where it's important. And we talk about this on the podcast. Like, not every play in your lineup needs to win the tournament for you. Sure. Some just need to not lose it. And to me, Rachaad White has been fantastic at setting the stage for your home run plays week in and week out.
Can I just say all of the comments and thoughts that we had on Kenneth Walker did come to fruition. Like, those last 2 weeks were outlier performances, be it injury of the first one, blowout in the second one. I know that he only played 48% of the snaps last game to Charbonnet's 52, but he had 21 total touches again. I still don't know if it's enough for me to get back there, but we saw the workload increase a lot. Not one of my favorite options this week, though.
Not one of my favorite options. Him and Mike Evans, who were two of my kind of like gambles, Mike Evans really worked out. And I think Kenneth Walker more got bailed out than anything. I don't have really anything else in the 6K range. I have a cheapie.
I have a
That's
few more in the 6K range.
what, Derrick Henry?
Well, I think Josh Jacobs is still very viable. Ever since that
Okay.
coach, they're just feeding him the football. Now, sure, they faced the Giants and the Jets, so that's going to happen. If this game gets out of hand, I don't know. Aiden O'Connell has shown a propensity to target Jacobs in the passing game when they're playing from behind. We saw that in week 4. He had almost a 30% target share. I think the volume and the usage for Josh Jacobs puts him squarely in play here for sure. I mean, I really do. I don't really see many arguments against it. He played 83% of snaps last week. He's just going to be on the field the whole game.
Yeah, he's another one. He's just out there. And volume's gonna have to get you there. It's Josh Jacobs. I have no problem with that.
All right, we have to talk about Tony Pollard. We have to. I mean, this has been arguably the biggest disappointment of any running back on the year. Like, you're talking about a team that scored what, 7 touchdowns last game? 7? Yeah, 7 touchdowns, 49 points. And Tony Pollard finished with 5.5 fantasy points. It's remarkable, man. He outside
decimal
of
back.
What's that?
He decimal backed.
He for sure decimal back. He hasn't scored a touchdown since week 1 of the season. It's been brutal. It's been horrible for Tony Pollard. I wonder where in DraftKings scoring, what do you think he is? Running back what? Just take a guess. What?
I have no idea. He's 30, 40.
30. I would say like 23.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably less good backs than I'm.
Maybe even 20.
He was like Chuba Hubbard.
He's 22.
Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah, it's not good. But also, if you were to take like where is he since week 4? He's got to be, I'm going to have to search his name to find him. Since week 4, Tony Pollard is the RB 34. Really bad stuff. But he's 6,600. My guess is against Carolina, he's going to be popular again.
Yeah, I'm going to lean on our tools here to tell me the story. The thing that I'm now struggling with is I'm not even sure what the perfect game script is for Tony Pollard. And that's confusing to me.
Like, I don't know if there is a perfect game script.
That's a problem because like if it's a beatdown and Dowdle and they're still throwing, if they're not really likely to fall behind here, or the targets weren't there. He's a good player and he's on a good team that can score a lot of touchdowns. You can say that about a lot of players though. So unless he's low owned, I'm not sure I can get there.
This feels like the biggest ownership play at the position. Right?
Yeah.
If people just go back and he's another 20+%.
It's not going to be.
I don't think so, especially because he has been a lot of these weeks, but people are going to make that adjustment towards the Cowboys passing game. They have to. They have to. If you're getting really low ownership on Tony Pollard, I'll probably end up loving him this week. That's the truth.
Oh yeah.
Right.
If you're not going to get that either.
Yeah. I'm thinking probably like 13% Pollard. He's just going to be in the middle. Right. That's the way I see it.
I agree. Yep.
Because there's other good 6K backs. Can you make an argument for Derrick Henry at this point? It's gone from bad to worse.
I think the arguments for him are in some way analogous to Tony Pollard. Just like, I know he can do it. I've seen him do it. He's Derrick Henry, but there's nothing to indicate that anything's going to change. So you're just betting on, well, it's Derrick Henry and he's a guy that I've seen in the 8K range and thrive against a division opponent like this. That's pretty thin unless he's like 3% owned.
All right, rapid fire. Raheem Mostert or Devon Achane if he returns. 69 and 6,600 respectively.
Mostert.
30-point total, big favorite.
Yeah, I'd go Mostert over Achane, but I'm not sure I want either of them.
Okay, what about Breece Hall at 6,400 against the Bills?
No.
You can't do it. It sucks. It sucks. All I want to do is roster Breece Hall.
Yeah.
But you can't.
Great player, but no.
The offense is You want to talk about just being a massive impediment to two really skilled offensive players? Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson are wasting away in New York. And they don't
Yes,
seem
they
to
are.
care. Last thing I'll say here. If you had taken Josh Dobbs, right, and you would put him on the Jets, right? Put Josh Dobbs on the Jets. They clearly beat the Raiders. No doubt about it.
I would hope so.
The Chargers, they wouldn't beat them. I don't think. Well, probably wouldn't beat them, but I definitely don't think that's a 27-6 game. I think that's definitely a closer game. And then this is a team that we're looking at as a decent football team because of Josh Dobbs. That's how crazy that is. I'm not talking about bringing in a quality. I'm saying you bring in Josh Dobbs and they're markedly better than they are right now.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I really don't even understand what it's a different show for a different time. I don't understand what happened to the Jets. I really don't. Because I thought they found the blueprint. And then they just didn't. The same blueprint somehow now doesn't work.
Well, because they won't go away from Zach. I don't know.
But that wasn't a problem. I mean, they beat the Eagles. Like,
Eagles beat themselves.
But still, it doesn't even. The Jets, I thought, could win games against bad teams like the Raiders. If you told me before the Raiders game that Zach Wilson would have no touchdowns and no picks, I would have said yes. I'm fine with that.
Yeah. And that's what happened against the Eagles. You're right, though. I say the Eagles beat themselves, but yes, Zach Wilson limited turnover, didn't turn the ball over. And that's how they won. Anyway, give me Aaron Jones as my favorite. You know what? I think I might actually go Josh Jacobs mid-range as my favorite here.
Okay.
Just massive volume.
I'll go Rashad White just because, again, I think volume also important to me here.
The low tier, I don't have much for you. It's for me, I have three guys. It's Brian Robinson. Amazingly had a 100-yard receiving game last time out. It's James Conner, because I think the workload just continues to increase now that he's back for another week. And then if Dameon Pierce is out, I think we'd be remiss to not at least mention Devin Singletary after a 30-carry performance.
That's where I'm going. You just talked about this with Najee last week, and it's kind of the same story. You just don't find that type of volume and these type of price tags that often. And now I have to start treating Houston a little differently. Like, they're a real team. They could be winning this entire game. And Singletary could have another 25 carries. Simple as that.
It's a really good matchup. It's Arizona, right? Yeah.
Yeah, at home.
It just sucks that, like, going to Devin Singletary on a week like this where now he's on the radar. Right? That's the problem.
He is on the radar. You're not wrong about that. But to the other side of it, CJ Stroud is on everybody's radar, and they don't really coexist. So Singletary is leverage against Houston in his own right, and I kind of like that.
But can we really throw Devin Singletary in as our favorite play at this tier when we don't know what's up with Dameon Pierce?
Well, so I'm putting him on mine with kind of an asterisk. He is my favorite play if Pierce sits.
Okay, Jordan, throw in an asterisk then. That works.
Like, Jerome Ford is down there. I get that. Another volume guy. I respect the matchup against Pittsburgh. I'd rather have Singletary without Pierce than Ford, but I get how you're getting there as well.
Do you know what the spread in that game is without looking?
Which game?
Arizona, Houston?
No.
Take a guess.
4.5.
Nice guess. 4.
4. Yeah.
I thought Houston at home would be favored by more, even though Murray's in.
Books are weird like that just because, Houston is not overachieving in that they're not this good, but I still think that you see kind of preseason thoughts in lines even to this point. You know what I mean?
Oh, you're absolutely right. No,
Houston's playing better than 4.5 point favorite, but maybe they're just running hot.
And also, just a couple of weeks ago, they lost to the Panthers.
That's what I mean. That's exactly.
So that's why I'm going to go James Conner as my favorite low tier play. I think James Conner is a nice play at 5,800 this week.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good game to get exposure to.
Yeah. Coming back from the injury, you got Murray back. Conner came back and played 63% of snaps. I anticipate him being out there for even more next week, assuming there's no setbacks. Like I think Connor should get a lot of work. And if they need to use him in the passing game, they certainly will. What do you think the spread is in the Commanders Giants game?
Where's the
It's in
Commanders?
Washington.
6.5.
10.
Yeah, see, that's a lot, but the Giants are that bad.
It's a lot, right?
I mean, I would never lay that many points with Washington.
I couldn't do it. Would you lay 9.5 on FanDuel?
No, but I certainly, again, I'll just say I spent a lot of time over on the odd shopper side. If you were betting those games, those half points add up so quick. Just look at the scores. Look how many times the hook comes into play. So 9.5 makes it a lot more interesting. I just don't think I want to back Washington at all, though.
Yeah, me neither. So that's another thing. When you're talking about betting, how much does price come into play for you? If it's like, okay, minus 9.5 at minus 115 keeps you from having to lay 10 at minus 110.
Yeah, that's 5 cents, and it's very, very worth it.
What about minus 10 at minus 105?
I'd still do it, but it's
I think so
closer.
too. Yeah, it's closer, but I think I'd still do it as well.
Yeah, I mean that's the difference, like, and why it's so important. Like, think if you had to play Aaron Jones at 6,200, but I could just play him at 5,900. Like, and think of how useful that $300 would be in DFS. That's the equivalent of laying an extra point or two in betting.
Yeah, 10 points is a lot. The 9.5 looks intriguing, if nothing else. But yeah, to your point with the hook, they just on Thursday, last Thursday, if you took the Panthers at 3.5, you win.
Yeah.
Finished what, 16-13? There were threes out there if you didn't shop around. So
100%.
Yeah, that was a huge one for sure.
Everyone's a play at a certain price. That's the thing. You know what I mean? Like,
everyone. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I've been backing the Broncos as dogs all year, because they're just getting zero respect to the point where it's like, oh, I can't, like, I have to take them at plus 11 in any spot.
That's where it's, that's, again, if you want to learn more about that, oddchopper.com, like, it's like, oh, the Giants. Well, if the Giants were 1,000,000 to 1 last week, I would have bet them on the money line and they would have lost and I would lose my money, but I would do that every time. The odds are way better than, it's just a simple formula.
Yeah, it is. Anyway, hey, we had somebody win the Millie using the Sims tool on Sunday.
Yeah, they did.
They won $1 million.
$1 million.
We had somebody else win 100K, took down the 20 max $3 play action, 100K using the Sims tool on Sunday.
They won the dollar too.
Did they? Do you know how tough that is? Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Never in my life will I win that play action.
That's the hardest tournament to win. That's like 400,000 people. I mean, I've had a couple good Millie finishes over the years, and I play the same lineup in a bunch of things. My lineup came in like 17th those weeks in the play action. Like, it's impossible.
Guys, if you want, Jordan, do me a favor real quick. We're getting the wide receivers here. I want to do something fun. Pull up the post contest simulator for a second. I want to show you something, Ben. I want to show you something.
Okay.
Greg showed me this yesterday. So if you pull that up, by the way, guys, we have a promo link in the description and in chat. Any of our Sims packages, the Sims Data or the Sims Max package, you want to get in on this, 20% off. Promo code is Millie. Actually, if you click the link, you don't have to actually put the coupon in. You'll see at the bottom, just click use coupon Millie. It'll take you there. Links down there in the description and in the chat. If you want to, I mean, look, yesterday was the Sims tool is brand new this season. To see that somebody in week 10 took down $1 million, someone else took down 100K, someone else, there was another 10K win using the Sims tool and being like, hey, shout out to the Sims tool, makes me feel good about the future for myself as well. But,
yeah, I'm using those tools. No, my favorite thing about it, and I'll let you get to the post contest sim. That the guy won the Millie on a 555 entry, and then someone won 100K on a $3 entry. It just shows it works for all different types of portfolios, entry fees. That to me is the coolest thing. It's not just like, oh, well, if I have 10 grand to throw around, not at all. Literally not at all.
Yep. Not at all. Plus, there's the Sims data package, which generates fewer contests. That's the only difference. And if you do sign up, guys, first of all, you can DM me. My DMs are open on Twitter, LOUGHY_D. Happy to answer your questions. But check out all of Greg's tutorials on the Sims tools, please. If you're doing NBA for late swap or whatever, Jordan, go to contest date and then go to, so this past Sunday, what would it have been? The 12th? Go to the 12th. And then we'll go to there it is. Wait, actually, his was the 555 milli.
Yes.
All right, so click on that. Where's the other milli maker? It is there. It is right there. So the second one, the 2.5K. Click on that, and then click on that, and then let's sim it. Ben and I do this every single day. Hit view contest simulation. We do this every single Tuesday in the podcast exclusive for the single entry. There he is. Short gamer TV. Now, go to look at the simulated ROI on that. Look, there's not a lineup that's even close to that.
Okay, so that is actually crazy. Like I know for a lot of people, maybe just seeing this for the first time.
Well, explain what it means then.
Yeah, so you have your actual lineup ROI, which is obviously based on truly where you finish. But a lot of times the reality of the situation is sometimes a crazy lineup just runs insanely hot. And the simulated ROI is much lower. Sometimes it's even negative, saying that, if you did this over time, it wouldn't be good. Not only, and this is the first time I'm seeing this, not only was this guy's positive, but they were saying that he should have won.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying. Not that he was going to, but they're saying that of all the lineups and no matter how many people, you see some other people with some multiple entries.
Like this is the best lineup in the entire contest.
The best lineup.
Click on his name, Jordan.
You don't see that literally ever, where the quote unquote best lineup actually wins.
Very infrequently. Dak Prescott, Rashad White, Devin Singletary, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Noah Brown, TJ Hawkinson, Jake Ferguson, and the Texans. How about that?
Such a simple lineup too. Like
double tight end again.
I played double tight end.
Yeah. Anyway, just wanted to look at that. I thought it was pretty crazy. That Greg,
that's awesome.
Hit me up. Greg DM'd me yesterday. He's like, dude, look at the simmed ROI. Anyway, if you guys want to check it out, 20% off all of our it's awesome. It's an awesome tool. Jeremy said he won 10K in the main contest too. Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
Christopher Ford hit. We've had a lot of success lately. It's been awesome.
Yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool. My dumbass deboosted Dallas a little bit too.
And I had Trevor Lawrence stacks. You won't find that in the sim tool. We don't sell that type of tool for obvious reasons. Just what am I doing?
All right, wide receivers. Let's take a look at this up top. How about this, man? This is one of the weeks where I might just run the Sims tool and let it rip because it's going to be tough to hand build a lot of this stuff. Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb, Stephon Diggs, Keenan Allen, Amon-Ra St. Brown are all 8,800 and up. They're separated from top to bottom by $500. But you've got Tyreek Hill 30-point implied total against Las Vegas. CeeDee Lamb, huge total, big favorites against Carolina. Diggs against the Jets, not even going to lie. I'm fine just not playing that and going elsewhere. Maybe you have a differing opinion there. I have a lot of respect for the Jets and Reed and Gardner. Keenan Allen against Green Bay coming off a massive effort. And then St. Brown in that same game coming off a huge one. He's got the Chicago Bears at home in the Dome in Detroit. Whoo! Have fun sorting this one out, man.
Yeah, you're going to probably want to try to double up top if you could. It seems like there's a lot of huge ceiling performance potential. I'll get right to it. I'm going to try to find the money for Tyreek. I know he's so expensive, but with him, it doesn't really matter because he has the upside to pay off like an 11K price tag at times. So for me, I'm going to try to find that money. If I didn't have the money, I'd go get St. Brown, but you have great options here.
Who'd you say your number one was?
Tyreek.
I'm surprised you didn't go Lamb with Dak being your number one.
I mean, again, if I play Dak, of course, Lamb's going to get a big boost, but the thing that I like about, Tyreek is just insane.
I love him here. I love St. Brown too, though.
I'm going to try to double up.
You're going to try? Okay. And that's going to, what does your lineup look like? We're going to talk about this on the the podcast exclusive too. I think this is where you and I get into the weeds a little bit, where we can talk about what your lineups look like when you're doubling up. But just if you had to say, what does it look like if you're doubling up right now with two top tier receivers?
It's probably uh a cheap attachment to my stack or a blanket like Sam Howell, Jordan Love stack, and they're one offs. Punt defense, standard tight end, and I probably pepper the mid range with like an Aaron Jones, Ford, Singletary, maybe double up at running backs.
Okay. Makes sense.
Just off the top of my head, again, I don't know how that works, but you can definitely get two north of 8 on the outside.
I'm going to go. Man, I don't know if there's a right answer here. I really don't.
There's honestly not.
I'll go Tyreek Hill as well against that Vegas team. They have the highest total on the slate. I think I have to. Yeah. In the mid tier, man, I tell you what, I'm so tempted to go back to DK Metcalf. It's it's tough because this offense is kind of sputtered. They did drop 29 points last game, but it felt like they could have done so much more if you watched any of that, right? Felt like just a lot of missed opportunities. They still got 29 up, won that game at the end, won a field goal. But Metcalf has had 10, 14, 4, and the Baltimore game I don't even include. 10, 14, 12 targets. 3 of his last 4 games are double-digit targets. I mean, at some point, that big game has to come.
You would think. Too good not to. I get it. It's going to be a weird build if he's not your second wide receiver in. If he's your first, that'll be a very interesting and I think probably scary way to build. I'm going to go lower in the 6K range. I'm going to go with Amari Cooper as my second favorite. I love that guy. He's just great. You can do it against any type of defense, weather dependent now that we're getting into the nasty season, but as long as it's good, I'm good with him.
Yeah, I have him down here too. I like him. Almost put 100 up on that Ravens defense with a hobbled Deshaun Watson.
He's just a player. He can do it against anybody.
He's excellent. I have one other guy in the mid range that I have to ask you about. Garrett Wilson. You know, it's probably you're going to probably have a similar answer as you did with Breece Hall, but the target share and the volume for him is it's off the charts right now. Last 4 games, 12 plus targets in all of them. It's funny because he hasn't been bad, even given how, inept that offense is as a whole. He just, again, I worry that, sure, like you said earlier, you don't have to play every guy for the ceiling. I just don't know what ceiling you're getting on Garrett Wilson now. I mean, I think he's got a very high floor. His receptions prop was 4.5 last on Sunday night, which was outrageous. But 8, 7, 7, 9 receptions, 12, 13, 13, 14 receptions or targets. He's just not scoring. He hasn't scored since week 2. But they don't function.
Yeah, they don't function. It's in Buffalo again, weather dependent, but I like him a lot more than Breece Hall, that's for sure, just because he doesn't need to score nearly as badly as Breece Hall does.
And truthfully, that Buffalo defense right now,
they have nobody in the secondary. No. Like Micah Hyde missed last week. Tre'Davious White was already gone. Kyrie Elam was on IR. Bernard is hurt. Everybody is hurt for not that, they don't have anybody left.
I'd for sure prefer Garrett Wilson over Breece Hall at the same price point if I'm getting exposure there. For 100%. Sure. Yeah. I think Wilson might actually be my favorite mid-range guy this week. Okay. It's kind of gross, but I like him. Yours is going to be Amari, right?
Yeah, Amari.
Low tier. Dude, I could rattle off just whoever you want here. This is where it gets sub 6K is where it gets real interesting.
This is just Tank bad.
Dell. What?
Yeah, I don't know. I
think it's good.
Okay, go ahead.
Tank Dell. He's kind of mid-range, but we'll say sub 6K since the gap between him and those top tier guys is massive. Look, another massive target share last week. Even if Nico Collins is back, I still like Tank Dell. Terry McLaurin, 5,800, 10-point favorites. Calvin Ridley, I thought you'd like him there. I don't love him, but he's there in a good spot, pass funnel spot. Jahan Dotson's 5,100. I'd even go to Curtis Samuel at 36. I think Curtis Samuel at 3,600 is a respectable punt. And I'll give you one more. I think $3,300 Rondale Moore is perfectly viable now that Kyler Murray is back in the mix. He saw his best output of the season with Kyler Murray back. He was on the field for almost 70% of snaps. They went just 3 receivers. Nobody else. Zach Pascal played 5% of snaps. Greg Dortch was on the field for 1 snap. This was Marquise Brown 100%. I think, by the way, despite his underwhelming output last game, I think Brown is firmly in play. I don't know, say what you want about Derek Stingley or whatever. If you're on the field for 100% of snaps at a mid 5K price point, I have no issues with that. Michael Wilson played 89% of snaps. Moore played 65. No other receivers played.
No, listen, the nice thing, there are pay down options. Curtis Samuel was a guy that stuck out to me. I'm going to go one more, though, and it's partly because I already mentioned Jordan Love. Jaden Reed is seemingly just continuing to get work. You know, I've been waiting for Christian Watson, and if you are building a bunch, maybe you roll the dice there, but there's no argument that Reed is the guy right now with the most reliable output for this team. And he's flat 4K. I kind of think that you have to consider him this week if you are looking for a cheapie. And if I have Jordan Love, I have to consider him.
You do. I don't hate it. Found the end zone last week. Yeah. Plus, in that offense, why not target some of the cheaper guys at this
That's
point?
what I mean.
Yeah. I hear you. Favorite option down here for me is probably, you know what? It's going to be Terry McLaurin for me. I think, you know, this speaks similarly to what I was saying about DK Metcalf. But I think eventually you're going to have that Terry McLaurin game where you just go, yep, knew that was coming eventually. Could absolutely be this week against the Giants.
Great matchup at home. I've been waiting, believe me, I've been waiting for it.
Who is it for you?
I'm going to say Jaden Reed, just because I want to present like a different option. You know, if you told me I could play Tank Dell or Jaden Reed, I'd play Tank Dell. But if you're in a different price range, if you're at, say, flat 4, yeah, Jaden Reed for me.
You know what? Maybe I'll go cheaper just for the sake of giving options that, especially if we're paying up. Nah, I'll stay there. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. We can.
I like that. I like when we do it like that.
Yeah, because now we're presenting something everywhere.
That's what I mean.
All right. Tight ends. Oh, wait, did we get to 100 thumbs up yet? 93. Okay.
Do it for the presidents.
Do it for the presidents. Yeah. Gone but not forgotten, man. Go back into another deep dive so you and I can get into some conversation. I bet you already know most of it.
Probably some of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think Abe Lincoln was do you think he's remembered more fondly than he should be?
Probably not, but I don't know. I don't actually know a lot about Lincoln.
It's kind of crazy that he was like jailing reporters and journalists for speaking out against the movement. Kind of anti-American.
Well, win some, you lose some. But yeah, Abe, I'm more of a like Grant. I don't know. That's weird. Again, there's a lot of presidents.
Grant was a wild one.
Yeah. Team Grant. He was on this slate at tight end. I probably roster him.
All right. Well, that's fine. Wait, who was Ulysses S. Grant's friend? Who was the author that helped him out?
I have no idea.
It was he got him back on his feet, helped him publish his book. Mark Twain and him were buddies.
Oh, there you go.
It's a bad investments. And then Twain, he was going to sell the rights to his book to like 2 random people. And Twain was like, you can't do that. And he's like, well, we shook on it. He's like, no, you can't do that. Then he finished his book, died a couple days later, and then it ended up making what in today's world would be like $10 million, and his wife was just sad after that. Old Mark Twain helped him out. How about that?
You're full of knowledge.
Useless knowledge. It's fun.
I got a lot of useless knowledge as well, but talk to me.
I love Sam Laporta up top. I like Dalton
Okay.
Schultz. When I say up top, I'm considering that top tier because I don't envision myself going to George Kittle this week. The volume is just too scarce there. That's my issue. Like, yes, he had that wide open. I love George Kittle, but you're hoping that he gets it done on like 3 or 4 receptions. Laporta for me, I think you could see a big game. We haven't seen one of them in a little while. Dalton Schultz against Arizona. I'm there for that all day long. Those are I really don't hate paying up for either of those guys this week at 58 and 5K.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw out Kittle. I know if you have the money, go get him. He's just on fire. Purdy's firing on all cylinders. Just good stuff.
So you like Kittle? Okay,
I do.
I'm not nearly as high on him. Just a volume thing for me.
No, I get it. It's always that balancing act. It's volume versus efficiency. Like they're
Sure.
just such high value targets. Don't really like the rest of the top. McBride, I consider kind of mid range, and he's just on fire too. I like him quite a bit.
I'm gonna have to go. All right, so up top, I'm going Laporta. Who are you going?
Kittle.
It is Kittle. Okay, I didn't hear you say he was your guy up in the top tier.
Yeah. He's my guy up there. I'll be honest. Do I know if I can get him on lineups that I'm envisioning? I don't. But I would like to make room for him.
I think I have to keep going back to Trey McBride in the mid range until
Yeah,
things
absolutely.
change. He's probably still underpriced, and he's
He
good.
might be. You don't see this a lot in the NFL, but like he might be like a 7K tight end.
You think it could happen?
I'd say it's doubtful, but it's not impossible that he's just like one of the premier tight ends in the league.
By the end of the season, what do you think Trey McBride's priced at? If you had just take a guess, I'd say 6,400 around
I'd say
Kittle
like
now.
4,900.
Oh, you don't think he comes up much at all?
No,
If he keeps putting up big performances, they're going to have to.
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. The range of outcomes on him is gigantic. Whereas like, some of these other guys, it doesn't make them bad plays potentially, but no one's ever gonna say that like Cole Kmet is just gonna become a $7,000 type. Like he is who he is. He's very solid, and that's that.
Dalton Kincaid against the Jets, Ferguson against Carolina, your boy Evan Ingram against Tennessee, Cole Kmet against Detroit. McBride's going to be my guy in this range, but I don't think it's completely devoid of other options either.
It's not. I'd rather go to a guy that I still think we're learning. He's really making strides.
So McBride's your guy here too?
Absolutely.
All right. I honestly was impressed enough with Kyler Murray last week to feel pretty decent about some of these Arizona pass catchers. Not great, but decent. And, just a massive upgrade from what we've had. 47.5 point total, too. This is, let's see, is this one of the highest totals on the slate? I'll tell you right now. Ben, it is the highest total on the slate.
There you go.
By a small margin. You got a 47 with Bears Lions, but they're 10-point favorites. Dolphins Raiders 46.5, 12-point spread. So like, a lot of these other big totals are just massive spreads, whereas this is 4 points. Pretty interesting game.
Very interesting game. There's no doubt about it.
In the bottom tier, I like Logan Thomas. That'll probably be my guy here. Logan Thomas at 3,700. But Michael Mayer at 2,700. I keep coming back to that, especially if they're playing from behind. Does he just get there based on them having to abandon the run?
I mean, he's another one. Target and volume isn't great, but price point's ridiculous. You don't see many playable guys down there. And I just generally like him as a player. I think he's a pretty damn good player. Liked him in college. I give a shout out to Luke Musgrave again. Jordan Love attachments. Got to look somewhere. And you mentioned Logan Thomas already, who makes a lot of sense.
So who's your number one? For me, I'll go Thomas.
I'll go Musgrave.
Okay. You ready to get out of here? One defense under 3K, as we always do.
Let's take a look.
And by the way, while Ben looks, if you guys haven't downloaded the Stochastic Avatar yet, make sure you do. You finish top 3 in a field of 5,000 or more, even if it's the nickel, it doesn't matter. Quarter arcade, whatever. Finish top 3 in a field of 5,000 or more. What you win, how much you win, doesn't matter. you're getting a free month of any subscription on our site. $200 value for some of those is yours. Plus, you get inducted into the Hall of Fame. Jordan and I record every single week. We feature that in between shows. You know, make a thing of it. So tweet your wins as Stochastic HOF when you finish top 3 in a field of 5,000 or more. Just download the avatar, stochastic.com/avatar. Use it wherever it is you play. DraftKings, FanDuel, Owner's Box, doesn't matter. And if you win, hit us up. We'll get you up there. As long as you're rocking that, as long as you meet the requirements, you'll be in. You can't tie with 3 or more people, though, because we'd be out of business with all those showdown slates. But definitely worth doing. Have that in your back pocket. So when you win double time. What do you got?
So I think the clear, obvious answer and the popular answer is going to be the Jets.
Yeah.
Not going to push back against that. I'll go the Rams.
Those are the only 2 I have under 3K right now.
Yeah. It's not great.
Not a lot of options under 3K at all. Like I can't go Chicago. I can't go Vegas. Can't go Carolina.
They're third for me.
Carolina, just because they're dirt cheap.
They're literally the cheapest. And I actually think their defense is better than most of these defenses.
That's a fair take. It's just, again, the kind of battle of attrition or whatever, where like, are they just out there too much?
Probably.
Yeah. Last one. The Titans versus Jacksonville. Would you consider that, or Green Bay at home against the Chargers?
Green Bay, I looked at, like particularly if it looks like nasty and I don't play the Green Bay stacks, I'll probably just play the Green Bay defense.
Appreciate you guys. Fun as always, man. We're going to go record the podcast exclusive. Lots to talk about. I think we're going to find a lot of good information for this little 30-minute show that we're about to do. It'll be up on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and if you go over and check it out, hit us with a review. It's greatly appreciated. But yeah, you guys are the best. Follow Ben at JazzRaz DFS, me at Laffy_D, and shout out to Jordan Klein for producing this one. We'll see you back here for the next one, week 12. We see you back. Actually, matter of fact, I likely won't be here next week.
For Thanksgiving either?
Baby's coming.
I know. I didn't know if you were going to get to Thanksgiving.
I definitely won't, because if it doesn't happen by the day before Thanksgiving, she's getting induced.
Okay. Well, I'll be here and I'll be healthier in society.
All right, man. Well, I hope you feel better. Let's go.
I do. Thank you. Thanks, chat.
And you can go, chew up some Sudafed after we.
I'm going to do that.
All right. Appreciate you guys. Later.